All right, welcome back. So, moving on to our next step. So let's just take a look at our boxes layout, right? So we've gone ahead and sort of plotted out what we want to put together here. Now we've got our fonts loaded. We have our overall size laid out. So the first thing I want to work on, right, there's a couple things. I'm going to tackle the menu first, right? And, you know, I'm going to need the logo. I'm going to need these links, and then I'm going to need a button. Okay, so that's in place. So let's put together the HTML for that first. All right. So I'm going to keep everything in the wrapper. I'm just going to give myself a little space here. And I'm going to use, if you remember from our first, from the shell site project, I would have a nav. Oops, I got to spell it right. Yeah, that inside the nav, I'm going to put an image. Right, let's just, I don't have my image just yet. So then I've got those links for the menu items, and I'm going to use a list. So I'm just going to use a UL. I think I had 4, right? And this is all Emmet, right? So the little symbols here, UL stands for UL list. This forward arrow, the less than symbol, the greater than symbol, says go inside the UL and then put in LI, and then I'm going to multiply that by 4, so I want 4 LIs. So when I hit the return, there they are. And what were my links? Let's see. Admission tickets, people, spring 22. Okay, and all right, you can start to see I'm putting the stuff in, right? So it's inside. And then lastly, I'm going to need the button. And I already made that button, so let's just take it out of here. Put it there. Selecting multiple lines, hitting the tab key. We'll get everything lined. And I'm going to work with this kind of indentation, right? So this helps me keep track of, this is my container, and then these, right, are the direct children of the nav. Let's go that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to need that logo. So let's go find that. And here we're on the main stage page, and I want to take this logo right there. So right click on that, or command click, and then I'm looking for open image in a new tab. And that will give me the image, and then I'm going to do a save image as. And my folder is on my desktop, so here it is. And actually I have my image folder, and then I'm just going to save the ping file right in there. Okay, and I close all this. So if I open up my folder, all right, you'll see that there's my, and I'm going to give this, I don't want to have all these periods. Just give it a new name. FPA logo. Okay. All right. All right. And personally, I like to keep all my file names lowercase. So I'm just going to rename that. Okay, so that's the School of Fine and Performing Arts logo. All right. So now that I have that, I'll go ahead and close that. Let's go back. Okay. Well, now I can do my source, right? So here's my IMG folder. Here's my logo. All right. And I'm at the index level. So my path can go right into the IMG folder. I go on that, it finds, and I save that. And there is the logo. Yowza. That's a little bit bigger than we actually need, but that's fine. We can make it smaller. So we now have the logo. All right, we've got our links set up as a list. We'll style those, get those organized. And then we've got our button. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good now. It's time to start making that thing look like something. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to make a section and call this nav styles. And there's, this is just my convention, right, to capitalize and put these dashes in. And I do this for larger sections just so I can keep track. You can do this or not. I think it's useful, so that helps me find where I want to work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, let's save that, is I'm going to have a bunch of images. So I'm not sure exactly, and then let's just call this, what is this? Okay, so that's so we know what the logo is. Okay, and I want to give this a class so I can sort of work with it. I'll give this a class of logo. Okay, so now I can grab it. Now I could have drawn a descendant selector and said nav and pick the image inside, but each time I do that, I would like working with classes. So our first one is going to be class logo, right? And I'm going to set the width. Oh, I don't know. What was it? 100, probably 200. Let's start there. Okay, and you'll see right now we're sort of brought it down a bit. So we're just going to say 140, probably even smaller. All right, and I can go into my design and measure that. Okay, so it's got about 113. Go 114. Okay. All right, so there we go. Now my logo is sized up, right? It's within the wrap. Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to deal with is this UL, right? So treating menus as a list is standard practice for development. And it's because we have a container, right? So we can sort of move all of these links as a unit. And then we have an element style where we set one style and it will apply to all of these items. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll start making those checks. So we know we're going to work with the UL at some point. And then we're also going to work with the LI. Okay. And I'm only going to have this one, so I don't really need to get this more. But I'm going to do the display of the LIs as inline. Okay. And then you'll see what happened. Wow, look at that. Right? So there they go. They have all been stacked one after the other, right? If you remember our discussion about block elements or inline elements, block elements all stack, right? List items are block elements by default, but when you set their display to be inline, then they lock up next to each other, okay? And I'm going to add some margin to the left of, I don't know, 20 px. Oops, spelled it wrong. There we go. Okay, so now I'm pushing them apart a little bit. Again, if I go back to my design, And I can check these and say, yeah, it looks like 27, 28. Okay, so we don't need anything on the links just yet, but you know, I do know that I'm going to make these a link. Okay, and so let's just make that. We'll put that. Okay. Okay. So now it's blue. It's got the underline, right? What is this? href. There. Okay. And when I make the href, right, I'm just using a number sign. And that's a standard convention when you don't have the link yet. You don't know where it's going to go. But you want it to be a link, so you put some character there. It won't do anything when you click on the link. It'll just stay on the page. But it gives you the right format. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy all these. And you'll notice when I paste it, it makes the closing A tag. So then I can just save that. Okay, so there we are. All right, so I've got all my elements now. And my next thing is like I want to get everything to be in line, right? It's like I don't want all these things stacked on here. I'd like all of them in a single line up here. So there is a way to do that. And let's go to our style sheet. All right, I'm going to go with the setup on the nav. Use the display property. And we're going to select flex. Okay, there we go. And boom! There we go. We've now spread our elements on here. So let's just take a second and talk about the flex property. So this page at CSS Tricks is probably the best one-page overview of the Flexbox property, right? Flexbox, which is what the display flex property is using, okay? And it works on a container model, right? So we assigned it, if we take a look, to our nav element, and if you remember, right, here's the nav, and it contains these three other elements, the IMG, the UL, and the button. And when we change that display, we set all of those children of the nav parent with the flex property, and now they will all lay out the way we're looking for them to. Okay, so now we're in pretty good shape so far. And if you go through these, the way the listings kind of work, right? You can learn all about how it works, right? This is the basic display. This is what we just used. Instead of container class, we used our nav. We could have put a nav of container on it and then use display flex on everything where we put the container. That's certainly acceptable, right? We can have the direction, right? So right now we have flex direction row. Let's go ahead. And these indications, right? What he's trying to show is that all of these items separated by the pipe, you could use any one of them. You don't use all four of them or three of them, right? So let's just take copy these two for a second and go show how this would work. Okay, so here's our flex, right? So I'm going to put that rule in, and I'm going to say row reverse. I save that, right? And now it's flipped the elements, right? So the HTML has not changed, right? Nothing's changed, but that property of row reversed will turn things around if for some reason I wanted to do that. I don't in this case. But that's how these property things work, right? So it'll explain what there is to do. He'll give you the property you're working with, and then whatever the options are here. Okay, so, right, if there's flex wrap, right, so you can do flex wrap, and there could be no wrap. You could wrap or wrap reverse, wrap things backwards. Flex flow, right? Oh, what's this? Justify content. Ah, this kind of looks interesting. So let's see if I could I take it? Let's, so what one maybe? Oh, space between. Maybe that one works. Space between. Get rid of that. All right. Yeah, not terrible, right? So it's got my logo and my buy tickets now in the right place. But this is not really, I don't really want this centered. I want this still kind of over here. So how would I do that maybe? Right? So now understand how the rules work, right? It's like, so the display flex property is on the nav, and then these are the direct children. But what I really want is I really want these two to kind of be grouped together. So how would I do that? All right, I can go ahead and make a div. And then move those two in there. Okay. All right. So now I'm getting closer. Right? So the logo is aligned to where I want it. The tickets are aligned, but the flex property is not cascading onto this div. So this is a good opportunity for me to make a class. And I'm just going to call it row. And I'm going to put it on my nav and on my div. Okay. So now I'm going to head on back to my style.css. And I don't need anything on the nav, so I'm just going to call this. That's not true. I need the nav still. Right? Yeah. I can get rid of the display flex property and do my class of row. And there we go. That's pretty good. I've got my first row laid out, right? I used the flex property. I justified the content. I displayed flex. All right, you put in a logo. I scaled the logo. I haven't done anything to the UL, and we'll get to that. And then I displayed my LIs so that they aligned left. All right, we're going to stop here for now, and then we'll move on to the next item in the next video.